I am waiting for Brian, right, Scott? In the meantime, I guess I could just do a few tricks for you or something. Give me just a moment to see where the rest of the show is.
Somebody in the back row can turn.
We just had to redo the entire sound and light thing in the last 10 minutes. Here he is, good. You ready to go?
Yay, Brian!
All right.
Happen to be in the neighborhood.
Oh, good. I'm glad you decided to stop by. Anywhere you like, buddy. Let me introduce myself to those of you whom I haven't met. I'm Rich Block, and this is Sue Block, and we kind of run this place and take tickets and things. And I wanted to thank you so much for joining us tonight. This whole theater is a kind of a grand experiment, and so far everything's been great. We're entering our 6th season. We have you are contributing to our just passing the 25,000 mark in terms of people who have sat in these seats, 60 at a time or less, and we're very happy. But this is a totally new venture, and in a lot of ways, kind of our most exciting. Some time ago, I paired together with Brian Russo, whom I will introduce to you in a moment, with the thought that we both kind of mulled over, which is the idea of bringing in documentary films on every subject under the sun, which we're going to be doing on a monthly basis. This is our first one, and the idea, hopefully, is when we bring in the documentary film, we would also bring in the filmmaker, which we have done this evening. So you'll be seeing the product of his and their efforts. After which, just to give you a chronologue as to what's coming up, after the movie is finished, we will retire back to the parlor across the parking lot and give you a chance to refresh yourselves for a moment or two, at which point we will then have a Q&A session with the filmmakers, and they will be entertaining you with their mastery of music. So, without anything else that I can think of, I want to tell you just a moment about Brian Russo. Brian may be familiar to many of you. He was the rock at NPR radio, and you may have heard him or seen him on the occasional TV shot that he's been doing. He is an extraordinary musician in his own right, as well as a songwriter and now a filmmaker. And Brian is the guy who is stewarding this entire new experiment for us and with us. So I'm absolutely delighted to bring him to you. Please welcome to our stage, Mr. Brian Russo.
Welcome, thank you so much for being here. I know we're running a bit late, so I'm going to keep my long-winded introduction at a minimum. This is Scott Sachs. He is one of my favorite songwriters in the world. I talked him into being on one of my last records. We got to work together a few years ago. We've become friends. And I remember him telling me about an idea he had to do a film about the art of songwriting. And this is the culmination of a few years of that. So Scott Sachs, everybody. So I was going to wear my James Lipton mock turtleneck for inside the actor's studio, but I'm not.
You're one turtleneck away from Jane. I was going to pull a Sean Penn and do a quick answer.
Right.
Smoke and face that way.
Right. So you've been a songwriter, and people are going to see it in the film since you were a kid. And your songwriting has taken you to some pretty wild places all over the world with people who are legends in the industry. You have won some hardware yourself for songs that you've written. But I think one of the most captivating things about this story is it shows sort of the man behind the curtain and the reality that all songwriters have to live with, that, you know, even when you achieve great success, you know, that's only a moment, and the rest of it and the work of it, you know, the swan going across the water is the success, and the wheel and the feet churning underneath the water is day to day for artists of all craft. Tell me why you wanted to make this film, and what you found about your own artistry while doing it.
I just wanted to make some sense out of a career that makes no sense. 7 days a week, it makes no sense. You're trying to, you don't even know what you're trying to do. I know that I started writing songs before I knew anything. When I think of, when you get older and you look back on your life and the ages that you are doing these different things, you're just like, how did that happen? When you're at that age, you don't question it. So I just started writing songs when I was 13, and that blows my mind now. It didn't blow my mind then because I didn't know anything else. But when I meet other people now and they're writing and they're starting, it's a little uncommon to already start that process at that age. And I just never stopped writing songs, playing gigs, advertising the gigs, trying to get people to the gigs, and some along the process. I know it would take forever to tell you the steps that got there, but I wound up achieving all the dreams I always had. Now there are maybe 4 things that are these huge dreams I had. That's 4 days of my life since I'm 13. So I'll let you do the math. And so and I remember when I was a kid, I would see songwriters and producers. You go to their house or their studio, and they have the wall of all the little records, and you just think wow, your life looks awesome, man. It's writing songs and getting gold records. But I always think they should have another wall with all the notebooks of pages of songs. And I have so many notebooks too that I find now of God, I was working my ass off, but I was so driven, I didn't realize how much. But phone numbers, and don't forget to call this guy, and he knows this guy. And there's always some guy knows some guy, and talks to the woman that runs, and you don't even know what you're doing. Anyway, I lifted my head a few years ago, and it literally felt like lifting my head out of the water. It was just constantly, trying to go forward in the music business. And I lifted my head, and it really, really honestly came as somewhat of a shock that my friends, who the last time I remember seeing them were partying because we just graduated high school, and their kids were going into college. And I saw it because Facebook was invented, and I was like, what the hell happened to all the time? How is that humanly possible? And when I started, and this was a few years ago, and I wasn't married, and I didn't have any kids or anything like that, and a lot has changed in the past couple of years, and I both of those things away from here and moved on the way. But so I wanted to make sense out of my life.
So what did you find in making this film and meeting other people at varying levels of success? People, and you're going to see it here, you're going to see people that you know and that have become famous and very successful, and you're going to see people that you have never heard of. And they're all sort of paddling towards the same goal of searching for something and finding something and be able to articulate something that they found along the way that is going to resonate with audiences.
I've seen that failure and self-doubt are universal. That's what I saw. And now more than ever, everything's perfect in the world, and everyone's family is beautiful, and everything is good. I mean, you guys know, sometimes you're on the internet, and they're like, "Hey, you look beautiful in that picture." And I'm like, she does not look beautiful in that picture. It sounds horrible, but that person's song isn't the best thing they ever heard. And so I just, and even before the internet and Facebook and all that stuff, you just always, especially in show business, you show everything but the business. So you show here I am, everybody. And so I didn't realize there was any human aspect to this kind of career. And once I did, I kind of wanted to get the fuck out of it because it was really, really difficult. I always looked at my favorite musicians, songwriters. It's been the same my whole life, and I love tons of new stuff, but I'm a Bob Dylan, Beatles, David Bowie kind of guy. But I would look at the cover of Blonde on Blonde, and I'm like, what's so cool being him? You stand there in your coat, and it's he was an alcoholic and drugs and failed marriages and all these things, but that sounded cool too, when you're 14. Failed marriages, man, right on. And then you just actually experience it, and it's really, really tough. So I found that it felt really good for me to open up about not just my successes, but my failures and self-doubt, and hear other people do the same thing. And what I gained from this film was friends and feeling less alone.
Last question before we watch the film. You've been writing songs your whole life. This is your first film.
Yeah.
What's harder, writing a song or doing a film?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you that it's really hard. So a song is 3 minutes. There are some of you look like songwriters, so I'm going to guess there's like 3 songwriters. Are there 3? Are there any? No? All right. Because if I was going to get you, all right, that's 1. Okay. I was going to say that you look like you got a couple out. You've written a few songs, yeah. Isn't that funny that I just figured that? Well, you can't, if you have a beard like that, you've got some shit going on. I did, and I had some shit going on. But a song is 3 minutes long, so, and if you can write a song, if you for some bizarre reason, you can do that, then it's easy because it's 3 minutes, and it's actually not even 3 minutes. It's actually about like a minute because it's just you repeat the same thing 3 times, and maybe plop a bridge in the middle to get away from the good stuff, so a person goes, "Hey, I hope that good part comes back." So it's really 3 minutes long, And then so when I did the movie, so you write your song, and you're like, "Does that sound good with that part?" And then you like go to the beginning of the song and start it over. And this is all just like these tiny little moments of time, 20 seconds here, just that reference. So when I made the film, I would like work on one section of the film for so long that I totally forgot there's like that whole other section of the film. So then I worked on that section of the film, and then I got that to the point of like, oh my god, it's so amazing. And I'm like, oh shit, there's that section. I gotta go back and get that as through as that. It was really, really hard.
And this took you
editing.
how many years to do?
I guess I spent like 3 years. 3 years filming, and then I helped someone. I had someone help me edit it. That was Freudian because I actually helped them help me edit. Because I have a tendency of doing that. I hire people, and then I just wind up sitting next to them and telling them what to do.
Well, when I started making my documentary, they said I've never seen a documentary that has taken less than 2 years to make. And I found myself longing for the days when you wake up from a dream like Mick Jagger, right, and you write a song in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's 2 different animals. But
It is.
I think you'll see that the honesty and the wit and the humor that you find in a Scott Sachs song, you're going to find in a Scott Sachs movie. So without further ado, this is Platinum Rush.
Thanks for having me.
All of the fun.